everybody. So today we're going to talk about relationships, which is something that I haven't, I've talked about synastry some, which is the charts, when you look at charts between two people up against each other. I have talked about that before. I haven't talked about what to look for in a natal chart as much, like what somebody might need energy wise. Because this is something that a lot of people do talk about, but I figured I'd do a video about this anyway. There are a couple places that I start with when somebody and it's a common question that I get from clients. It's a common question I see on the subreddit and other subreddits. What kind of person should I be with? Do I go well with this sign? What have you? And it's a valid question, because relationships are important. So, and being in relationships with people whose energy jives well with yours is important. So, and with what you need. So there are a couple places that I would start looking at first. This is not let me say this. It's not universal. This will not always be the case for everybody, but it is a good place to start. It is a good place to start when looking at this kind of thing in a natal chart. So the first place that I would look first, if somebody was like, what kind of energy do I maybe attract or would be good for me or whatever. The first place that I would look is the 7th house. And the 7th house deals with one-on-one relationships. These are not necessarily always romantic relationships, though romantic relationships do fall under the domain of this house. But the 7th house really is one-on-one relationships in general. This could be close friendships. This could be romantic relationships. This could be marriage partnerships. This could be business relationships. This could be, I've even seen family relationships show up in this house, along with parent-child relationships. It is not just romantic relationships. It is all close one-on-one relationships. Now, the sign on the cusp of the 7th house, or on the descendant, depending on, if you're using whole signs, the descendant may not be the cusp of the 7th house, but I use Placidus, so we'll say the cusp of the 7th house, the descendant. The sign on that tends to show the energy that we attract into our lives. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we like this, because the descendant is also the shadow. So we may not always like the energy that we attract into our lives. We might also be fine with it, though. I'm not trying to say that you're never fine with it. It's just, you may or may not be. You know what I mean? It kind of depends on the whole chart. But the 7th house is one place that you would look for this. Now, also, you want to look at the 8th house. The 8th house is a lot of things. I've talked about it as being like the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. I've talked about it. It's very psychological. It's other people's values and resources, but it's also a place where deep soul merging between two people happens. These usually are marriage-like partnerships or marriage partnerships. These sorts of, because usually most people anymore anyway don't tend to partner up in that way with people that they don't feel deeply tied to or bonded to. So this is another place that I would look for relationships, romantic relationships. Though these are usually not just these are relationships that are very bonded, are very deep, are very soul merging. So you'd want to look at those two houses and the signs that are on the cusps of those two houses, of the 7th and the 8th house. Now I'm going to show you a chart. This person has given me clearance to use this chart so I can quit fucking using mine. Okay. So as you can see, this person has Capricorn on the cusp of the 7th house, or the descendant is in Capricorn. And then they have Aquarius on the cusp of the 8th house. Okay? This means that this, for the descendant being in Capricorn, this person probably does attract Capricorn energy into their life. And when I say energy here, I don't necessarily mean Capricorn sun people. I mean Capricorn sun people, moon people, Mercury people, Venus people, Mars, whatever. Capricorn energy is, they attract Capricorn energy into their life. They do. Meaning, okay, so they attract this into their life. Now what you'd want to do from here is you'd want to look at where the planetary rulers, where the planetary ruler of Capricorn falls. Saturn is a planetary ruler of Capricorn, so we're looking at Saturn in Aquarius in the 8th house. So not only might they attract Capricorn energy into their life, and Capricorn energy may or may not be easy for them, right? But they do attract it into their life. You're also looking at where Saturn falls. Saturn falls in Aquarius. This means Aquarius energy is probably also is good for them. Probably. It's probably good for them. And even Scorpio energy might be good for them too. And I say that because the 8th house does have an affinity. It does have an affinity for Scorpio. I know there are people that don't like the idea of natural rulers of the houses. That's fine. But the 8th house does have an affinity for Scorpio energy. It just does. So I wouldn't even rule Scorpio energy out here as being good for this person in one-on-one relationships. Now, I'd also want to look at the planetary ruler of the 8th house for like deep soul merging kinds of relationships, right? So the planetary rulers of Aquarius are Saturn by traditional rulership and Uranus by modern rulership. So here we're looking at, again, Saturn in Aquarius in the 8th house, and then we're looking at Uranus in the 7th in Capricorn. This does tell me that for this person, Capricorn energy probably is something not only that they attract, but that actually is good for them. Because Uranus is in Capricorn. I would also throw Libra energy into the ring here because the 7th house does have an affinity for Libra. It does. And this energy might also be good for them. So yeah, that's kind of where I go first when looking at what kind of energy, sign energy might be good for somebody. I don't always stick with this though, because like, okay, in this person's chart, this isn't an issue, but like, let's just say that, you know, I'm talking about Capricorn energy a lot here, but let's say they happen to have their, like, okay, they've got their North Node in Capricorn, which that means that, you know, Capricorn energy is a little further away from them in this lifetime. So I actually really like Capricorn energy for this person because somebody with, say, a planet conjunct their North Node could help pull them closer to their North Node, right? It could. And just having somebody, even if it's not conjunct, somebody having a planet in Capricorn could also help them pull closer towards their North Node mission. But let's say it was flipped. Let's say their South Node was what was in Capricorn and their North Node was in Cancer. Let's just say that for a second. That might make me think just slightly differently about Capricorn energy for this person. Because the South Node is what you are either needing to balance with the North Node, and in some cases, not universal, and not usually the case, but in some cases you are wanting to move completely away from the South Node. So if you've got the South Node, if this person had the South Node in Capricorn, I might think that Capricorn energy, while they are attracted to it, while it might be good for them in some ways, it might keep them too chained to the South Node or previous ways of functioning. So that if that were going on, that might change my opinion of this just a little bit. So there are other things to take into consideration. It's not as simple as the way that I am presenting it here. It is not quite as simple. There are other factors that you want to consider, but this is a good place to start when looking at your chart or somebody else's to try to figure out what kind of energy, sign energy, might be good for them or good for you. And again, when I say energy here, I'm not just talking about sun signs. I'm talking about, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, the rising. I'm not just talking about sun signs. Want to make that clear again. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you want to feel like playing around with your own chart and seeing what fits for you based on your own chart, let me know what you think. If you think it fits, if you think it's bullshit, whatever. Again, though, it's not universal. You do have to take the entire thing into account, but this is a good place to start for this kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to get going. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck With Astrology. I am at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Abaturno Astrology on Instagram. If you want to like or subscribe or whatever the fuck people do with videos on YouTube, you can find us by searching for Let's Fuck With Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you're already watching this on YouTube, you can like and subscribe below. If you do the Reddit thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck With Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.